Hello. Hello. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the JoBlo Movie Show. I hope you're all having a wonderful week so far. What is going on? I see a few returning viewers. Hello, Boots. Hello, Azo100 is here. Shout out to Donostrums for being very active in the chat. What's up, everybody? Thank you all for being here. Let me start the show with one of these. How about that?
Hello there.
Hello there. Guys, we got a hell of a show lined up for you tonight. We actually have a lot to cover. This was one of those weeks, and this happens quite often in our sphere of the world, but it was one of those weeks where it seemed like every single day we were getting something new in Hollywood, something new that I wanted to talk about on the live stream. So it kind of just built up into a massive news roundup. I wanted to talk about Thunderbolts. It seems like that movie is really making waves right now. So plenty of stuff to come or to talk to. Hello, thank you for coming back. That YouTuber with Kiki as a profile picture 06. Thank you for being here. Hip Hop Legend is here. Hello.
Hello there.
And Gory Tiger. Hello. Thank you guys all so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Appreciate all of you. So I do want to kind of maybe, because it's the top of the episode, maybe now would be a good time to mention there will probably be one or two spoilers for Thunderbolts talked about this evening. I'm going to do my best to be vague for those of you that haven't seen the movie yet and still want to, but in case something gets spoiled within the banter or within the chat, it happens. So you've been warned. Although if you haven't seen this movie yet, I would recommend go see it, you know? Hey, Darnell Leak is here. Hello, what's up? Ganja Juan is here. Hello, Juan M. Hello. Thank you guys all so much for being here. All right, guys. Well, something happened this week. And I guess I should probably just get in front of it. Tell you guys now, my birthday was on Monday. So, a happy birthday, I think, is in order. Maybe we can get a little song. Let's see what songs we got here. If you guys were here last week, name what movie that song is from in the comments. If you can do it, I'll give you a shout out. All right, yeah, so we are going to talk about Thunderbolts, but there is so much news for us to get into. In fact, I think the way we should probably do this is start with some of the news. We'll deviate from that into some Thunderbolts talk, because I feel like I feel like I might get into a rant or a tangent or two, and then maybe we'll come back to the news. You know what I mean? Fallon, close. It's not Tango and Cash, although I can see why you would think that. Here, I'm going to play it again for you guys. Best movie theme of all time, I think. Glindlebro is here. Happy belated birthday. Thank you so much. Happy birthday. Oh, thank you guys for the birthday love. If any of you guys want to, send me a present, you can super chat. I'm just kidding. Dungeon Crawler Jesse, welcome back, my friend. Thank you for being here.
Hello there.
All right, let's talk about some movie news. Should we just talk about some movie news? Some good old-fashioned stuff? Now, I think that since we're kind of... Anthony Hoffman, you get the shout-out, my friend. Hold on, let me hook you up here. Anthony Hoffman, yes, this is from Fletch. Also, shout out Madcap, who made a really sick modern MIDI version of that, kind of hip hoppy. Very good stuff. Falter in the Myers. Yep, that is Harold Faltermeyer. Probably one of my favorite composers. Kind of a Kenny Loggins type, but in my opinion, even better. All right, let's take a look at some movie news, guys. Let's do... yes, Boots. It is similar to Beverly Hills Cop because it is indeed the same composer around the same time. Yeah. All right, guys. Let's talk about some Marvel stuff first. Now, this is breaking right now, so I want to get into this because some of you have not heard about this. This is like as we speak. This is developing. Okay. But I think this is great, and I want to talk about it a little bit before I get into Thunderbolts. And here's why. It looks like the MCU X-Men, the mutants, whatever that's gonna be, whatever the plan is for that, they have found, or at least have started courting someone to direct this movie, and it is Jake Schreier, Jake Schreier, the director of Thunderbolts. Jake Schreier, I think, is in talks to direct the X-Men. Now, if you've seen Thunderbolts, this probably makes you excited. That would be my guess. My guess would be this is good news. If you've seen Thunderbolts and you're a fan of X-Men, this will make sense to you, and it'll kind of make you a little warm on the idea. I think it will anyway. Now let's talk about it. So this is interesting because we still don't know what Marvel's plans are for the X-Men in the MCU. And what I mean by that is there's been talks for years now, since Fox was acquired by Marvel, by Disney. There's been talks of, will it be the mutants, which I think at one point Marvel was kind of saying that's going to be their branding for the X-Men. And then there was kind of talks of like, of X-Men being a TV series, and then, I mean, which if it was, that would be a terrible way to introduce the X-Men, don't you think? In like a Disney Plus series? No. What I think need be done is a movie, and I think that they should close out whatever the Fox universe has going on brewing with Doomsday. I think they close that out in Secret Wars. So that way the Fox universe has got a nice button, a nice bow on it. Everybody gets what they want. But I do think the key to a nice, fresh introduction to MCU X-Men is to reboot the X-Men. Whether that means with our usual suspects, you know, your Jean Grey, your Wolverine, your Cyclops, or, which is what I think they should do, maybe taking some time away from who we recognize so well from the Fox universe and developing some other incredible X-Men characters that have not gotten their due in cinema. To me, that seems like the move. And the reason I say that too, here's the thing, you guys, if you're a regular of the show, you know this. I'm more passionate about the X-Men than probably any other comic book property. It is my favorite of the favorite thing. And I'm a little bit of a shill, I guess, for X-Men because I appreciate things about even some of the bad movies. There's some that I downright hate, but you know, so all that to say, I realize that this is going to sound a little bit biased, I guess, or a little bit gatekeepy, but I'm concerned that Marvel will waste the X-Men unless they build up the X-Men slowly and over time, delicately. And the reason I think that is because the X-Men are a huge group, a huge ensemble of individual people with very unique abilities and backstories, right? Like, not every X-Men is just a wacky, lovable teenager that goes to a special school and has, you know, quirky powers. That's not the way that like every X-Men is. They're not all Tom Holland with an X-Men suit on, you know? So, and I don't want it to be that. I would like for it to be kind of layered, right? You know, you kind of maybe start with maybe somebody like Shadowcat, you know, Kitty Pryde, like starting her term at the X Mansion at the school. And then in that first movie, maybe it's just her and uncovering things about the school, and we meet some fun characters. This is the nice thing about the X-Men is it could be about any of them and you'll still get the ensemble. So that's cool. But I think maybe you start with that first movie being like, let's understand the school and kind of the students that go here and what the school stands for, right? And then over time, you can build up to the adventures with Cyclops and Jean Grey and Nightcrawler and these ones that, you know, like these kind of icons that we're expecting to see. I would like for it to take its time getting there and really build up some kind of reputation with X-Men, build up some clout with the audience before you give us the big one, you know? Morph, yeah, dude, Morph would be sick. Here's the thing, you know what I always liked about Morph, and now this is true more than ever? Morph, I think, has always been one of the easiest X-Men to adapt in live action. Because essentially, you just need a clever, kind of witty, this is the beauty of it now with X-Men 97, it could be a guy or a girl, but in my mind, it's a guy. You could just cast like a witty Jack Quaid type character as Morph, and then the special effects for changing faces is so easy. They've been doing it for years. So Morph is a cool mutant that should be adapted into live action, and it's kind of weird that, you know, with Mystique and the incredible shape-shifting she did in the movies, that they never really introduced another shapeshifter. Kind of strange. All right, guys. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that most of you agree with what I'm saying about X-Men. So that's good to know. This is a funny comment here from Kiki. The New Mutants is a Breakfast Club remake in disguise with a hint of It 2017 in it. Here's the thing. It 2017 is amazing. And the Breakfast Club is amazing, and the New Mutants is not amazing. I'm actually one of the few people though that there are elements of that movie that I quite like. Truly, like I've seen the movie enough times to know it's not good, but it's not all bad either. But if I had to call it anything, I wouldn't say it's Breakfast Club and It. Although I get it. It's like that, but then done badly. But if I had to compare it to anything, I would say that the New Mutants is kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like it's like The Darkest Minds, if you guys remember that movie. I think that's what it's called, where it's just like kind of kids that have superpowers. And that movie I Am Number 4, which was a total piece of shit movie. If you guys don't remember that movie, you're better off. But that's kind of what those two, it's just like the New Mutants felt like a mid 2000s teen young adult fantasy movie, you know what I mean, instead of the dark horror movie that we kind of all wanted from it. All right, guys. Let's keep it moving with the news here, because there is a lot of stuff to discover. But yeah, so director of Thunderbolts, directing X-Men. It's not a sure thing yet, but apparently they're in talks. What do you guys think of this? Now that you have kind of my opinion on where I think the X-Men should blossom in the MCU, where I think they should pop in terms of the director, I think this is a good idea because, one, we know he can do ensemble, clearly, but also this is the guy who did Beef. And if you've seen that show has masterful interpersonal drama. And that is all the way X-Men. Same thing with the Thunderbolts, actually. The Thunderbolts kind of nailed the interpersonal relationships. But Beef, it's a lot more on display. With that show, the two characters and the many supporting characters all have unique, complicated relationships to each other. And balancing those things while still being, reacting the way that they would in any situation. Or balancing two relationships, with two very different types of characters. Those kinds of things, they read as X-Men, just on a bigger scale for X-Men, obviously, right? And I think that is an interesting, in for these characters. I've always said the X-Men, ultimately, at the end of the day, is basically like a soap opera, but just sexy because it's got cool costumes and sweet superpowers and Halle Berry, But ultimately, it's a novella. It's like basically a novella. And it's great. And I love it. And I want somebody who understands that, 80% of the appeal of X-Men stories is not Cyclops blasting a laser out of his eye, but him arguing with Wolverine or him bossing around the younger mutants. Those are the things that I want in an X-Men movie. And I think if the MCU nails Fantastic Four, they're going to know, okay, we need to really be delicate with X-Men, because it took a long time for Fantastic Four to come out. And they're really, really putting a lot of eggs in that basket. I hope that if that movie does well, they'll learn the right lesson and go, okay, we need to really take our time with these important movies, right? So this is good. I'll let you guys know. I'll update you next week, next JoBlo Movie Show, on how that goes. But there are some other Marvel updates, and we're going to talk about those, just kind of clump it together, right? This one, I thought this one was fun. Okay, so Alan Cumming teases fighting Pedro Pascal in the upcoming Avengers Doomsday. So we already knew that Pedro Pascal and Alan Cumming were both going to be in that movie, because we had that 5-hour Marvel live stream where they revealed the cast one by one. I watched that, by the way. If you guys remember, who was there when I watched that? Who was there when I talked about that? But in an interview, it looks like Alan Cumming kind of spilled the beans a little bit, so to speak. Let's read some of this article. Alan Cumming is not abiding by the usual Marvel secrecy with his return as Nightcrawler for Avengers Doomsday. The ambitious new entry will not only attempt to harken back to the MCU's glory days, but it will attempt to adapt the Doctor Doom character in a more faithful way, plus include some multiverse action with Fox's X-Men cast returning. So, if you didn't know, if you have been living under a rock, now you know. The Fox X-Men, most of them anyway, Most of the ones we would want to see are going to be in Avengers Doomsday. Obviously, this is the multiverse saga. Marvel just happened to come into acquiring Fox. So this is, this was always going to happen. But we were excited when Alan Cumming was announced as Nightcrawler. This is only Cumming's second foray into the superhero world after he turned down the chance to cameo in X-Men The Last Stand. Good, that movie was garbage. However, the seasoned actor isn't quite as tight-lipped as Marvel's actors usually are with film details. I'm going to read you guys this quote, okay? And I'm not going to do it in a Scottish Alan Cumming accent, so don't even ask. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do it. I'm just kidding. Okay, this is what he said. I was learning stunts yesterday for some fight scene, and I just think I'm 60 years old. 23 years ago, I played that superhero. I was kind of old for a superhero even then. And now I'm back doing it. And that, to me, is hilarious, which I love his attitude. I love Alan Cumming, always have. I think he's great. I just love his attitude towards being like, it's funny that I'm back as, as me, and you can't tell because I'll be painted blue. But then he continues. This is the rest of the quote. I'm sort of learning these. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, I'm sort of learning these fights, and I'm like, what? Who am I fighting with? And they said, you're hitting Pedro Pascal against the head. Show. Sounds like. Whoops. Although, is this really, like, here's the thing. This could only be considered a spoiler in the smallest way. The only thing that it spoils is that at some point, there's conflict between these heroes, amongst these heroes. We knew that was going to happen. They're from different worlds. We kind of knew this. So don't be sad. This doesn't ruin anything for Avengers Doomsday. I hope not, but I don't think it does. I just hope that in Avengers Doomsday we get one thing.
Wake me up inside.
I hope we get Ben Affleck as Daredevil. That's what I'm waiting on. Okay, now let's continue. I want to continue this this interview with Alan Cumming because this part's interesting as well. I've had some makeup tests already done for the role, but what's great about it was that before it was about 4.5 hours to apply it, but now it's only 90 minutes. Before all of the tattoos were done by hand, they hadn't decided on them before we started filming. Now they just stick onto my face. It's a game changer. I'm going back to being a 60-year-old superhero, and everyone seems really lovely. I love this. Okay, so let's kind of break down what we can. We're vulturing. We're picking off of the bones here, guys. But let's maybe talk about what we can get from this. So obviously, we knew that there would be conflict between. This is worlds colliding, right? You have the Fantastic Four. They're from their own zone. You have the main MCU, 616, that's its own thing. You have the Fox X-Men universe, that's its own thing. And we know that there are endless universes with all these endless variants and characters, okay? So it's inevitable that some of them fight each other. Not really a spoiler, but what I'm curious about is at what point in the movie does that happen? Because I kind of had it in my mind's eye. What I kind of thought was going to happen was Avengers Doomsday will mainly focus on like 4 characters, right? Doctor Doom being the priority villain, and then maybe a small kind of like go team, right? And then I figured the rest of this cast is going to have their moment, right? There's going to be an act in the movie where they kind of like travel the multiverse or I just kind of at first when I saw the amount of people in this movie, I just assumed this is all going to be a cameo sequence that's going to cover most of these actors. But now I'm kind of wondering, maybe it'll be an initial conflict because, they all have to end up working together. That's like what happens in Secret Wars. Spoiler alert for that. But in order to take down Doctor Doom, they probably have to come together sometime early in the movie, right? So I'm hoping that what this tells us is that there will be more Nightcrawler and more Fantastic Four than we initially expected, like more X-Men stuff than we initially expected. That's kind of what I'm hoping. But again, we're kind of just picking up breadcrumbs here for movie news in terms of the MCU, which you guys know, as a comic books reader, I have my own thing with the MCU, but I am the first one to jump on the news articles and dissect them for everything they're worth because I care, All right. No, Halle, hip hop legend. Halle Berry, she didn't show up on the cast list, but she's gonna be back, bro. She's gonna be back. She has to. Do I still have the X-Men theme song? I don't. Sorry, guys. I took the X-Men theme song off of my switchboard here. Sorry about that. I'll give you this one instead. Doesn't that just loosen you up? To me, it does. Okay. All right, so let's talk about some Thunderbolts, and then we'll close off with some other Marvel news, and then we'll get into some trailers and stuff, guys. We have so much. God, we have so much to talk about. So much. But let's really quick. Oh, let me move myself over here, and move you over here. Okay, let's talk Thunderbolts. Again, light spoilers, hint of spoilers for those of you that haven't seen this. I'm gonna try not to give away too much. Like I won't fuck anybody over that was, really looking forward to getting into this movie. But if you haven't seen it and you're 100% against spoilers, maybe you can check back in 10 minutes. I don't know. But I liked this movie. So here's kind of what I was expecting going in. I liked the trailer for Thunderbolts. I thought it had, but you know what? I really liked the trailer for Brave New World. And what did that get me? A very disappointing experience. But I liked the Thunderbolts trailer. I could tell that in the trailer it had more tangible, assets, shall I say. It looked like the sets were maybe a little bit more practical. It looked like in, some of those car chases, it didn't look like it was all green screen. It looked like maybe there was, a decent amount of this film, or at least certain sequences of it, shot on location or on a practical set, which I appreciated. But the one thing that was missing from the trailers for me, or the one thing that I was kind of like, this is going to make or break the entire movie, is are they going to be able to make us care about all of these characters? Because before I saw this movie, I cared very little about any of these people, besides maybe a little bit for John Walker. And obviously, I guess, I don't know. I didn't like the Black Widow movie. So Red Guardian and Yelena, I don't know. Ghost, I wasn't a huge fan of Ant-Man 2. Bucky, okay, I like Bucky, but he obviously was the main draw. John Walker, okay, cool, but I was like, how can you? I was worried that the movie wouldn't give me at least one or two of these characters to really give a shit about. And lo and behold, with the exception of Taskmaster, rest in peace, I care about all of them now. I care about what happens to John Walker. That's the weird one. I didn't watch all of Captain America, or what was it called? Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I didn't watch all of that show because I just didn't like it. It was just it just wasn't one of those things for me. It wasn't a story that I cared about. It wasn't characters I really cared about. Whatever. But I did kind of enjoy the John Walker, nomad US agent type stuff. And I think part of that was, I love Wyatt Russell. Maybe that's part of it. But what we get in that show, kind of leaves you curious. What's going to happen to this fucking guy, And now we know. This movie did, I think, a good job of paying off things that you didn't know you wanted to be paid off, And I think that that's kind of interesting because for a Marvel movie, it's usually all about the setup and very little about the satisfying storytelling that pays off. But in this movie, obviously you could tell this is obviously a Marvel movie because it is so referenced and connected, and these characters all started in some other Marvel property. But outside of that, this feels like they're like, let's just talk about what's in front of you, which is these fucking rejects, And I liked that. I really liked that. I connected with that because it felt a little bit more like Marvel was saying, yeah, it's a Marvel movie, but also, can we talk? It was kind of one of those. That's how the movie was. It was, we're still a Marvel movie, but can we talk? Can we get real for a minute? And I enjoyed that. It kind of felt like I would say it felt like a warm hug, but the reality is it felt like a cold hug. This movie, it felt like a cold hug, but from a loving, warm person, or a murderer, like these guys. So for me, I don't know. I'd probably give this movie 6.5 out of 10, which for Marvel lately is pretty good for me. For reference, for basic comparison, I gave Brave New World probably a 4 out of 10. Really didn't like that movie. I even found it hokey. Hated the post-credit scene, all that stuff. Now, the post-credit scene of this movie, you know which one I'm talking about, okay? I know. I hear you guys clapping because I know. There was two credit scenes in this movie. One of them kind of, goofy, silly, still cool. And then that was the mid-credit scene, the post-credit scene, y'all. Again, light spoilers. I won't say exactly what happened, but what I will say is if you were looking forward to the Fantastic Four and you want to get a good look at some of their tools, some of their vehicles, perhaps, the post-credit scene was very satisfying. In fact, I love the way that the post-credit scene went down because do you know why? It felt like out of left field. But because of that, it was perfect, okay? What I mean by that is I felt like you can see the post-credit scenes of certain Marvel movies coming nowadays because there's so much to set up that they can't help but set up some of it in the actual movie, and then they either give you a goofy nothing post-credit scene or they just kind of confirm what you already were expecting. This movie was different. This movie gave you no expectations of what the post-credit scene might be besides knowing that Fantastic Four is the next movie. But other than that, it really didn't, like, this movie had nothing to do with anything. And then there's just a post-credit scene that's like, oh, hey, what's that? And then the audience gets to react as opposed to, it being kind of like alluded and winked at and built up to and joked about all the way until it was confirmed. So it was awesome, man. I thought it was cool. Dono Strumps says Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer is underrated. I disagree. I don't like that movie. I like the way that they did Silver Surfer in that movie, except for the way that they did him in writing. I like the way that they did him, the look of him, but they wrote the Silver Surfer all wrong. No offense to anybody who loves that movie. No offense to anybody who that's their Silver Surfer, but I think that they wrote the character of Norrin Radd all wrong because while his actions were what you would expect the Silver Surfer to do, his reasons and his motives were not. It was thinly veiled. We would expect him to be the Herald of Galactus, but then to change his mind and try to save the planet, work with the Fantastic Four, which is what he does. But his reasoning isn't because he's in love with Shala Bal, which is what the movie will have you believe. If you've only seen it, if you've seen it, but not recently, that might be what you think. Like, well, he did it all to save his fiance. Yes, because that's the lore. But that's not the reality of it in the movie. In the Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer, he does decide to save the world. But he already saved Shala Bal on their planet. So when he decides to help the Fantastic Four, he actually decides to leave his love widowed because, get this, Sue Storm reminds him of his wife. What? Hang on.
But it all was bullshit.
What? So, yeah, anyway, I hate the way they did Silver Surfer in that movie. I think it looked great. I love Lawrence Fishburne as the voice. The special effects for that movie, still very good. But, man, I just not a huge fan of how they did Silver Surfer in that movie. Now, I also do want to say, though, that I'm not convinced yet of Shala Bal as the Silver Surfer yet either. I'm not going to sit here and shill for the new Silver Surfer played by Julia Gardner. I'm not going to do that because I don't know. Here's the thing. I think there are comic book arcs where Shala Bal becomes the Silver Surfer, but I haven't read them. So I don't know. And I don't know what her character is as the Silver Surfer. Is she going to be the same kind of tough, strong for the two of us love interest like she is when she's just regular Shala Bal? Or is she going to be more like Norrin Radd where she's, she's a romantic who will do anything to save the ones she loves, even if it means killing themselves, I don't know. So I don't know what to expect. So I'm not sold because I haven't really done the work. I haven't done the research to know what to expect. And I think I'm okay with that. I think I'm going to not do it. I think I'm just going to sit back, go see the movie in July when it comes out, and just see what I see. And then I'll decide, do I like Silver Surfer Shalabal or do I prefer Silver Surfer Norrin Rad? I have a feeling I'll prefer Norrin Rad, but it's because that's the Silver Surfer I know, so what? But I don't know. You'd have to be crazy to tell me that just because the Silver Surfer is Shalabal in this movie that it's automatically not going to be good, because she's an amazing actor, Julia Gardner. Okay, what is this? A prediction from Dungeon Crawler Jesse? Okay, my call. Their timeline dies due to Galactus. No way around it. Only one way to save people is to combine all the timelines, bringing mutants into the universe, but their doom is pissed. Hang on.
I'm getting that for show.
I'm getting that for show. Dude, I actually really like this. Your prediction is, Jesse, your prediction is there's no saving their world, which we can kind of expect in the Thunderbolts post-credit scene does kind of clue you into how the Fantastic Four might end, weirdly. But so they have to lose, right? So we kind of expect that. But what you're saying is that the only way to save everyone is just to merge all the timelines into one, what I imagine will start as Battle World, but one new timeline. Dude, if this happens, I'm okay with that, 100%. I'm okay with the metaphor of what happens in the movie, or with the events of the movie. I'm okay with that being a metaphor for what's happening at Marvel, which is them buying up old properties and absorbing them into one universe. I'm definitely okay with that. All right. So yeah, Thunderbolt's pretty good. The one thing I do want to, there's a few specific performances I want to call out here. Dude, Florence Pugh is such a good actor. She is a really good actor. And I didn't like the Black Widow movie, and I wasn't like a huge fan of her in it either. I wasn't like, whoa. But in this movie, I was like, whoa. She really was the standout for me, probably. And then, dude, this movie was genuinely funny. David Harbour is iconic to me. I love him. I love his accent. I love all that shit, dude. His work in this movie was just the comic relief that it needed. I don't know if you guys saw that, but one of my action figures fell over. It was Ozzy. No, it was Night Owl. But yeah, dude, so huge shout out to David Harbour for really lightening the mood of that movie. This is my Night Owl figure. It just fell down. Well, and my Frankenstein too. No! They got Frank. This is my Boris Karloff. It articulates in two places, and it's the feet. The joints don't move at all, but the feet do. Explain that. Those were the two standout performances for me. Pretty good movie. I gotta say, in terms of if the MCU is back, I don't know. Look, if I say, oh yeah, dude, we're back, baby. Yes, this was a good movie. But if I say, oh, we're back, and then the next few movies aren't good, what if Fantastic Four? I think it's going to be great, but what if it's not good? Then we're not back. Then we're back to not being back. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to say whether or not the MCU, the brand, is back, because I don't really give a shit. What I care about is the movie good, and this movie was good, and I do recommend it. Okay. Let us move on. Oh, here's some... this was just footage of the Thunderbolts, so we could talk about it. How I skirted the copyright on this was to just overlay it, so that way the screen's kind of blown out. Isn't that weird? Okay. Let's get back to the news, folk. Let's get back to the news. There's a few more things. New casting for Spider-Man No Way Home. There's people thinking this is Miles Morales' mom, and it might be. But the Bears, Liza Colon Zayas. I think I'm saying it right. Liza Colon Zayas. To be in Spider-Man. Do you guys watch The Bear? Because the writer of The Bear wrote Thunderbolts. And maybe put in a good word to get homegirl Liza in Spider-Man. Now, a lot of people think, and obviously the first thought is, oh, this is going to be Miles Morales' mom, right? It kind of makes sense because Miles Morales is, what is he? He's black and Puerto Rican, black and Cuban, one of those two. And you know, so I mean, but this casting to me, if it's not for a big role in the movie, then who cares? You know, I mean, like, it's not like when Sadie Sink got cast, it was because she's redheaded that everybody was like, dude, she's fucking gonna play Mary Jane. She's fucking gonna play this person. We talked about it on this show, actually. I don't know why I'm saying it as if I wasn't participating in that. I was. But this one, here's the thing, because of her age, we know that she's not gonna be, you know, a new hero, an up and coming hero. You know what I think she might be? I think it's possible. Maybe Miles Morales' Ma, but fine, you know, like, cast Miles Morales, that'll get me excited. But I think maybe whatever they're planning on doing with the villain, they did say that they were looking for a woman middle-aged or in her 40s, right? So maybe we have our new villain. Who she's playing, we don't know. But she could be whoever their plan is. Like, you know how like in Into the Spider-Verse they had Doc Ock, but it was a woman. What was her name? It was like, instead of Audio, it was like Olivia Octavius or something. I don't know. But anyway, so it could be. Whether or not this kind of thing turns into a much bigger thing, I'm going to have to keep you guys updated. We just know so little right now. We know that Sadie Sink is in the movie. We know that Liza Colon Zayas is in the movie. Obviously, you know, Zendaya, Jacob Babylon probably, you know. But I don't know. This movie's still a big mystery. I'm hearing now, too, that it might be some kind of, like, prequel to Doomsday, like, takes place before Doomsday, which would make sense if he's not in it, but I don't know. It kind of leaves my excitement for this movie. Like, there's now too much of a mess for me to sift through to even know where this movie's at. But I'm excited about good talent being attached to the cast at the very least. Yeah. I think she's great in The Bear. You know what her performance in The Bear is? It's kind of like a tough Aunt May. So maybe this is Miles Morales' mom. So I don't know, but yeah, I like her too. I know she's very famous internationally. So apologies to her if I'm saying her name incorrectly. All right, let's move on. There's a few things with The Conjuring. In fact, you know what, guys? I haven't even seen the trailer for The Conjuring yet. Should we watch that real quick? Let's do that. Let's break it up a little. You know, I have the trailer here. I added it to the show, but I haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna put it on, but I'm gonna take off the volume so that we don't get a copyright. If any of you watching this are easily spooked, no offense, I'm still gonna see this movie regardless. I'm so fond of the very first Conjuring movie, and even more fond of the second Conjuring movie. And the third one, like I said, I thought was kind of funny. You know? So I'm gonna see this movie anyway. I'm a sucker for everything James Wan has created, and that includes this franchise, whether he's directing it or not. This is his franchise that he started, baby. Okay, and I'm on board for it. But dude, I don't know. My initial thoughts. Keep in mind that's the first time I'm seeing this trailer. My initial thoughts are: is that the best they could do to show this movie to the world? It's been a long time coming. They've been working on this movie. The third one came out during the pandemic, you know? Safe to say this one probably went into production shortly after the third one. You know how they do. If this is the best they could do, though, we got a big problem on our hands, because it seems to me like this movie is going to be hinging on multiple demons, which isn't a new concept for The Conjuring, but it's you have to be, it's the word of the night, I guess, delicate. Because if you have, from the looks of this trailer, there's like 15 fucking demons and ghosts in this movie. So if that's what you have, how are you going to effectively use all of those? And are they all going to be scary? Because let me tell you, if even a handful of them fail to be scary, your whole movie flops. I think your whole movie falls apart if you got 10 ghosts and 5 of them are a stick in the mud or a bore, or not scary, or corny, even worse. So let's hope that ain't the case. Yeah, Glendo, bro, I know, 2021, it does feel like a lifetime ago. Straight up, dude. Hip Hop Legend. See, 13 Ghosts did it right, though, no? I like 13 Ghosts. I don't know. it occurs to me now, I don't actually know what the public opinion is of 13 Ghosts. I'm not sure what people say about that movie. I like that movie. I think that's fun. I think that was one of those experimental films. The editing was pretty fucking crazy in that movie though. That's for sure. Okay. But that's not the only movie. Those aren't the only movie trailers we got. We also got, oh, actually, I wanted to talk about this just real quick. Ryan Reynolds explores ideas for a Deadpool X-Men team-up movie. Please fucking don't. Please, Ryan Reynolds, stop exploring ideas for anything. Just let them tell you what you do as Deadpool or fuck off. I'm tired of it. Here's my thing, is if Ryan Reynolds, I'm coming back to full screen. Hang on, I got to talk to you guys about this. Here's a tangent incoming. Here's the thing. Okay? If Ryan Reynolds writes another Deadpool thing, it's just going to be another fucking Deadpool thing, which essentially means, after this third movie, we know for sure, it's just going to be Ryan Reynolds telling us, regurgitating our own opinions back to us, just validating all of our criticisms, and then that's it. It's just going to be him going, well, I play Deadpool, and now we're in a movie with the fucking X-Men. And then everybody's going to go, hey, he is in a movie with the X-Men. That's so funny that he said that. Dude, it frustrates me. I'm not saying I like Deadpool. I liked the 3 movies. I think the third one was the weakest one, but I love seeing him and Wolverine together. You know, that's cool. I love seeing Blade. But, you know, I like the Deadpool movies, but I think that Ryan Reynolds has now gotten carried away with his ownership of this character to where it now just feels like everything that Deadpool says and does feels like a commercial for himself, where he's just like, I'm Deadpool, and if I end up in another movie with Patrick Stewart, it'll be like sticking a dildo up my ass. And then you're like, I guess he's not happy about it, or is he happy? You know, like, it's just all kind of just this like sloppy mush of just ridiculous like potty humor. And I like Deadpool, but there is more to Deadpool than just that. And I feel like Ryan Reynolds has kind of pigeonholed himself into now just being the guy who shows up and goes, how bizarre would it be if I let Rogue touch me and then she got blisters all over her face? And then people are like, it would be funny because she would absorb his injuries. You know, I don't know. Sorry to if I rubbed you guys the wrong way here with my default, you know, reaction to Ryan Reynolds being a bad one. It's just I'm so goddamn tired of his shtick at this point, you know, and if he comes into the MCU and fucks with the X-Men right away, you know. Anyway, let's take a look at some more movie news trailers. Thank you guys for indulging me in that. Let me give you a little bit of a transition sound here. How about some of this? All right, so we got a trailer for a new Stephen King movie called The Long Walk, which is a science fiction thriller. I haven't seen the trailer for this yet either. This one I've also been kind of avoiding. It's Lionsgate, which, you know, it's a real movie studio. Stephen King has lots of movies with them. It's got Philip Seymour Hoffman's son in it. So... oh, definitely going to have to mute that. We're going to get copyright hit right away. Sounded like they were playing some kind of country song. We got some good old boys here. Is this Nam? Or what is this? I know that guy. I'm going to have to turn the volume up a little bit.
Warning. Just keep walking. That's right. Just keep walking.
Uh-oh. Oh, shit. Oh, my God.
It takes heavy sack to sign up for this contest. I'm not gonna go through.
Whoa, can you guys tell I'm not familiar with this Source material?
Below the speed of 3 miles per hour, you get your ticket.
What the fuck? From the director of Hunger Games, right on. I love the Hunger Games movies. I don't care if you make fun of me. That's it. If you make fun of me for liking Hunger Games, that's my reaction.
Yeah, it took me a while to realize the truth of this.
A blind cat. Uh-oh.
You'll walk as
Warning.
long as you can.
How
Sometimes
far
the body won't listen.
can?
For some, your heart will stop. For others,
How far can you what?
your brain
Walk? Go.
will flow.
Anticlimactic. Great shot.
There's one winner.
Dude, this trailer is really good. I've never been so anxious looking at people walk. Just because you know what happens to them if they stop in it. God damn. Oh, God. Dang, dude. Yo. I'm going to kick it to you guys on the reel. That was a great looking movie. It was a great looking trailer. For those of you that have seen, hey, Cowboy's here. Hello. Hello. Let's get you one of these.
Hello there.
Thank you for being here. Hip Hop Legend, yeah, enjoyed the trailer. Blues Brothers reference. That Shabuzi song in the beginning, yeah, I'd recognize that. Yeah, it looks like Hip Hop Legend is actually excited for this. Yeah, dude, that looks nice. That looks like a good, neat kind of horror movie. You know, it's got like a nice, like, simple premise. Walk. And if you stop walking or if you start walking too slow, you die. All right, cool. It's like Crank, you know? If you stop, you die. That old chestnut. Pretty cool trailer. Let's take a look at another one. What else we got? We got I wanted to watch this one, Honey Don't, and I wanted to watch the new GTA trailer. Let's do GTA first. I'm excited for this. I'm not like a big gamer. Turn that down. I'm not like a huge gamer. I don't play a lot of video games, but I do enjoy Grand Theft Auto, like Red Dead Redemption. I like those two like Rockstar kind of properties. Obviously, the Sony Spider-Man video games. Those are probably my favorite.
Love you, Jason.
It's really crazy how real these cutscenes look. I've already, full disclosure, I've seen some of this trailer already, so I am familiar with a little bit of like what it looks like. But doesn't that almost look like? I mean, that almost looks like a live action shot. You know, if you squinted your eyes a little bit, you definitely would not know that that's not live action.
What's your name? Jason Duval.
Jason Duval.
Have you heard before? He might have.
I might have been here, yeah. They made a video game where the main character is Florida Man.
Hey.
Shit, man.
You stay.
A little Bonnie and Clyde type situation. Was that Modelo? Were they drinking Modelo? Product placement?
This place is just the start for us.
Really looks like Florida though, doesn't it? Jeez, it's all swampy and kind of like, like you can tell that it's humid out there. That's cool. Just a testament to like this video games are fucking nuts now. That guy looked like Franklin. Was that Franklin from GTA 5? Nah.
We gotta protect each other.
Brat brat. So, bitch was doing a Cardi B impression. Okay. Great song choice. Ammunition. So what I'm guessing from the looks of this is a couple. She gets out of jail. They want to go on the straight and narrow. Something pulls them back into the big dirty, the big final job that'll set them up for life and they can retire. And, kind of like how they had, Michael's story arc at the end of the fifth one. You know, kind of just like one last job after getting pulled back in. Man, that looks cool. I will say it's a real freaking bummer that this game got delayed once again to now being a year out. Now, we've all heard the memes. This before GTA 6, like you can insert whatever, you know, like a fourth Captain America movie before GTA 6. But I'm going to be honest, guys. I mean, like, that's just GTA. There's a reason why in the main continuity there's six games plus what, Liberty City, some anthology spin-offs, Vice City, San Andreas. There's a reason why there's less than 10 games, you know, in like 30 years. It's because they take a long fucking time. But when they do, like GTA 5, I remember when GTA 5 came out, I was even less into video games than I am now. And I played that game probably like 7 hours straight when I played it. And that was before I even got into the campaign. That was just, you know, starting the game, spent probably 7 hours goofing off before I even played the main story. So I have a feeling this one is going to be quite good. I think the wait will be worth it. At least that's what I'm hoping, you know? All right. More trailers. We have more. We're going to be choosy, okay? Because we only have time for a few more. But I want to watch the Honey Don't trailer because I also have not seen this. But looking at the cast, Margaret Qualley and Chris Evans. Action. I'm in. Charlie Day? Charlie Day's in this movie. I haven't seen this trailer. I'm going into this one cold, y'all. Aubrey Plaza, too. Great cast.
The address you wanted? Thanks, MJ.
You know, it wasn't until recently that I found out that Margaret Qualley is Andy McDowell's daughter. And it made perfect. As soon as I heard that, I was like, oh my God, she looks just like her.
Can you tell me about this woman?
Now we know.
She got stabbed and stuff in the car, I guess.
Ooh. I'm not gonna lie, that was a pretty sick ring. It was like a Green Lantern ring or something. See what I mean? If I was a fucking asshole, I would have made a great preacher. Because I could get, you know, I mean, I could get into it. I could like hand around the collection basket and collect your money for sure.
Who's not happy?
From the director of Fargo and No Country for... Oh, yeah, that's right. This is a Cohen flick. I forgot. It's Ethan Cohen. Oh, that explains everything, dude. That explains why I'm enjoying just the general aesthetic of this movie so far.
From her church in town. She never wore that in the house.
If you guys haven't seen that Coen Brothers movie, A Serious Man, I think it's 2009. Great movie. I found it on HBO last year. Loved it. Loved it.
Heavily, it's a point of pride.
Should you and I discuss this over a drink?
Tuesdays I dry out.
Today's Wednesday.
Today is Tuesday.
She does a good Southern accent. This is why I think Margaret Qualley, this is why in my X-Men fan casting, I casted her as Rogue. She would make a superb Rogue.
I help people, Miss O'Donoghue. I see a need.
Wouldn't she? Look, I mean, she would make a great Rogue. I want the comments to validate that.
And his will be done.
Can you help me? Yeah.
You're fascinating.
And you haven't even
What a
seen the
wonderful
tattooed on my ass.
This is going to be a great movie. This is right up my alley, man. To get away from the superhero stuff, this is what I'm talking about. By Ethan Coen and Trisha Cook. Right on, dude. Yeah, see, that is good. That's good stuff.
If you like,
that is what we want. All right, so what else we got? We covered God, we covered so much, guys. Thank you for indulging me during this, you know, massive overhaul of news. The Big Lebowski. Yeah, of course. Classic Coen Brothers movie, not to mention Burn After Reading, which is so underrated. That movie is so underrated. I love Burn After Reading. I love anything with Frances McDormand and Brad Pitt, you know? Great stuff. All right, guys. Well, thank you all so much for being here. I think we're going to cut it there. The only other thing that I wanted to talk about was there was some slight news that James Wan is interested in directing a Conjuring spinoff for The Crooked Man. And I kind of just had a little bit on that where I was going to talk about how I like that idea, because The Conjuring 2 is such a good movie. And then I was going to say that I want to see it because I just recently watched Hellboy, The Crooked Man, and that movie was literal dog shit. So that was about it. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Thursday night. To my regulars, thank you all for being here. To anybody new who caught the show, I very much hope that you enjoyed yourself and that you will consider joining us for next episode, which will be next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. All right, guys, that is the JoBlo Movie Show. I fucking love you all. I enjoy this every single week. It's a nice wind down for me. And I'm going to keep you guys posted on all this movie news stuff. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't, blah, 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 all that stuff. Love you. Peace.